The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
I mean, it's there. It can run the whole building. I'm not saying that they can never tap into it. It can run the whole building. It's just was purchased for the joint. The grant was written for the joint powers, for dispatch.
Well, I don't even really, honestly, I don't even mind the city of Newcastle.
So, and right now, we have an agreement, the detention center has an agreement with the city that if they have to evacuate detention, that they could house their inmates in the city council chambers on a short-term basis until they can move them somewhere else. So, I mean, it's going to help. It could possibly help the county in a roundabout way. So, I mean, let's all get along. You know? That's all I'm trying to do. Help everyone out. So.
Anything else for Gilbert?
So are we doing an MOU, and if so, what are we putting in it? I'm a little fuzzy on what we need it for. After they explained it to me, I was like, oh, okay, I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Well, the same can be asked about the next one.
Yeah.
Right? So what's the purpose of the next one? I mean, this one seems to me more applicable than the next one does. So I think the next one is for auditor purposes. Perhaps this one is too. I don't know. But the idea was that if it came through here, this did this, that we would have an understanding of whose it is, who gets to use it, who gets to pay the bills.
Okay.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
No, if it's
with the dispatch group, fine, whatever.
it's theirs.
It's an understanding.
It's theirs, so.
It's an understanding so that years from now, whatever, somebody doesn't say, that's my generator.
Or that's my console and
That's
dispatch.
my console.
We're taking it with us.
Well, I get it.
Then down that road.
And that agreement, and that shouldn't happen because the agreement we already have is it would come back
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
to the already, the purchasing power. So.
You see what I get?
Yeah.
What happens when there's a different person in your shoes and they feel, I mean,
They want to do things different?
yeah,
I have no idea.
Just like he does stuff.
He does a Doug and Scott.
but if we create these MOUs, then at least it's out there and the guy can't walk in and say, heck with this piece of equipment, I'm getting rid of it.
I get it.
And then have a fight over ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See ya.
All right, so it's been a long one. Thanks, guys, for waiting around. Make it about 12 minutes.
Ditto.
Not me, boy. I got this hot chick.
Long weekend.
Michael has the copy of it. I didn't get you guys.
I got one. I got one too.
It's got copies.
I got all the one. You haven't changed it, have you?
Not since I sent it in December or something like that.
Do you want me to make you guys all copies?
Not me, thanks. I got it. Exactly.
Yes. That's it.
All the way to 8. Obviously, you can tell I have a question.
I was looking at that earlier too over there.
Next three, please.
That particular line.
Because of that.
You're a forensic.
No, I just thought it was not broad enough.
Oh no. broad enough.
And that includes that,
Okay.
not having a vendor.
Every business I walked into this weekend was overwhelmed with attendance. Pizza Hut, Deckers, Rodeo brought in a lot of people, a lot of business. That's good. I think it was pretty good.
Mr. Turpin, I know you're reading it. You're deep in thought.
Go ahead.
Can you give me a background of why this is necessary?
Paul, is probably the driver behind this, in our auditing. And he says if we don't have a clear understanding of between both parties, then it's just fuzzy for his audit to be able to look at it and say, I fully understand, where Weston County sits and the fairground sits on who's handling what. Who is the employee, is under the employment of whom? That was the beginning of it. So, to be honest with you, I kind of understood it because at the time we were dealing with some issues of who's handling what and what's going on here and what's going on there. When we kind of gave over the employee position, then it kind of, I thought that without it being said, it's kind of existing already without it being in writing. But
So we had to have this when they took over their part. And when they wanted their budget, he said we needed to have this to back up. And he had Michael draw it up so that we had this. So it was a clear understanding that they were paying their bills, they were paying their payroll, they were paying all of their stuff.
So were we supposed to have one with the library too?
He didn't say
you
that.
didn't say a word about the
See,
library.
there's where this interesting is we start piecemealing and why is this one different than this one? They all get portions of our mail.
Because they just get one chunk.
So does the library.
No, that's what I mean. They're like a provider of service. They get quarterly payments.
And if I could, I think they're statutorily kind of set up different. I think the library is more independent than the fair board is. It's not like an independent board necessarily. It's sort of underneath you guys. It's weird how it's like statutorily created. Not completely separate. It's like, it's kind of separate, but it's underneath. If that makes sense.
Fair board is directly under you guys. The library board is not.
I can see where some of this is we expect invoicing and payroll and things to be done under what we would expect to see, and I think that the fair board as well would like to not have us shoving things down their throat at times when they're trying to run their operations of it and be their own entity that's not being micromanaged at times.
Okay, you haven't convinced me with the library. Statutorily, we have to have a library. We do not have to have a fair board.
Yeah. That's the difference, yeah. Because that makes it more independent. From what I understand in the statutes, if you look at Title 18 here, there's sort of, it's not necessarily an independent board from you guys. It's a board under your supervision. That makes sense. But that's how I understood it from Paul. I'm not an auditor, so I don't get that side. So.
What are you doing in your spare time that you're not an auditor? Thank you.
Under number 4, I just wanted to ask the Fair Board, it says that the Fair Board wishes to independently operate the Weston County Fairgrounds facilities, payroll, invoicing, the commissioners agree to that in agreement to the MOU. What would you guys say the main benefit for the wish to operate independently? What is the main advantage of the Fair Board to do that? Like if you sat down as a board and say, man, we really need to operate independently from Weston County Commissioners for these reasons, what would that be?
And I'm going to add one to that too, while you're contemplating it, if you don't mind. I have a question here that says, in that statement, would that include that you pay for maintenance on all the county buildings? Because there's a cut of independence here that is cut and dry.
So, I guess I'll begin up with, like last year, like a year ago, when the MOU started being in discussion, and we were talking about broken doors and broken toilets. And that's, like, I've never heard of an MOU before 13 months ago. So, kind of got a crash course on it. And I guess more what I was expecting was like, and like we were told, you know, that's our buildings. Those are, you know, if the roof's wrong, you guys, you know, are responsible for fixing that. Now we were responsible for maintaining it. Like if the flush is broken on the toilet, that's ours. If the toilet's broken, that's you. Then kind of branches off onto other topics on that. But that's kind of what I was foreseeing as the MOU. But which that we've had a lot of questions the last few months of, okay, well the fire marshal came in, saw we put bleachers in the indoor arena, and our doors are not up to code, so we got to replace the doors, the exit doors. And the question is, well, who flips that bill? Us, you, whoever, you know. But to answer your question, what's the benefit for us going independently? I guess I'm kind of, I don't understand the question.
It says that you wish to operate independently aside from the county commissioners, and if that's your wishes, I was just wondering what drove that wish.
I think this was written up.
No, this isn't written up.
This wasn't
isn't
created by them.
Oh, you didn't?
No, we didn't create.
Did you write this? Who wrote it?
Yeah,
Michael.
they just said create an MOU. I'm like, okay, here's the draft.
But I think it's to the point where they are independently now, where we're not doing their invoicing, we're not doing their payroll. That's strictly on them, and they wanted that.
Right,
They came to us and asked for that.
And I honestly don't think that it's written incorrectly or
I don't
untrue. I believe that this is probably number 4 to be true. I was just wondering what the wish for the independence was.
Yeah, we didn't write it up. This is the first time I've
So
seen it.
part of the issue, when Paul came back after his audit, there was booking issues, there was computers that we didn't know where the books were at, there was
no book.
there was issues, and we were even floating around at the time frame of just hiring a fair manager instead of, well, that was one of Paul's suggestions, was a lot of the counties have gone to this other format instead of a fair board managing the fairgrounds. The fair board just manages fair, and the fairgrounds would fall under a person like Brandon here in the courthouse. well, that was one of Paul's suggestions, was a lot of the counties have gone to this other format instead of a fair board managing the fairgrounds. The fair board just manages fair. And the fairgrounds would fall under a person like Brandon here in the courthouse. Well, that isn't necessarily what the fair board wanted, and I think some of the community didn't necessarily want that either. So he said, well, create an MOU so there's a full understanding and it's black and white what you guys are doing at the fairgrounds. And I said, fair enough. If they're going to handle it all, then it's in black and white, and if they aren't getting and fulfilling their end of their responsibilities, then you have something to hold somebody accountable for, I guess. So that's kind of the gist of where Paul started with a bunch of it. Good.
This is not this is comfortable. This is not a defensive position. It's comfortable. So that's why I bring up about the buildings. So you have a board of county commissioners, and you guys come in, the fair board comes in, pardon me, and wants XYZ, and we did that at one time and didn't get the money spent. And so there always was this oversight of this board. Curious as to why that board wasn't spending the money that was waiting here for them to spend that money. So you're always going to have that oversight. So when you say fairgrounds facilities, does it come to a point where you can't afford it? And that's, I don't know, we'll still always have a foot in there.
So Billy's right. That conversation happened about us being in full control of major building. That's our baby, and that might not be listed in here. Right? You interrupted me, but
You gave me permission.
but yeah, but say the flush valve's leaking on the top of the urinal every day, in and out usage kind of things. If it's minor things, the fair board would try to mitigate those problems. Whereas we got to re-roof the building, then that's our baby to handle, being a county building. And we had that conversation at length multiple times in the last 3 years while you were, or 2 years while you were on.
It's always been that way.
Yeah.
It's always been that way. But what my question is that we set aside the money at one time to have something fixed.
How long ago?
That was for the roof. 6, 7 years ago?
On the open class building?
Yes.
I think that was the part of the conversation where we dug into this at, because we had you guys,
Like donor.
and I could be wrong, but yeah, we had a donor that said this money is to be used on this. And this is before my time. And then you guys set aside money for it, and I don't know, but I'm guessing the donor's money got spent, was earmarked for it, spent on it, and I'm guessing as expensive roof repairs are, probably some of the money you guys set aside for it got spent on it. I don't know the financials of that one, but then the point I heard when I was in here with our last chairman, who knew more details about it, his angle on it was, well, you guys earmarked some money for that repair. We had a donor that came in and said, this money I'm giving you is to be spent on this. So we honored their wishes, spent it on that, and then so the money you guys set aside could have went elsewhere, gone back to, which I don't know if that's okay. I got on the very, very tail end of that ordeal by a long shot. So,
I appreciate that.
I got a question for you.
I have an answer. Do you want the right one? How's
Yeah.
more?
I don't really have an issue with this MOU. I think it's pretty well black and white. Places where the fair board wants to be in. I think we as a board over the last couple of years discussed where we want to be. What's your hang up on it, I guess?
I don't understand what this is. That's what my hang up is. It's 2 pieces of paper that we all sign. What's it good for?
Paul just said, like I tried to explain to you, it's what Paul said we should have in place.
But what's the ramifications for not having it?
Probably the fuzzy math of who's responsible for what. And promises can be made and broken every day, all day long, but if it's something's in black and white, then you can always go to the MOU and say, we talked about it, we're in agreement that this is yours, this is ours. That's probably his reasoning, is my thoughts on it.
I've got a question. If you want to do that, why don't we put that you guys are responsible for the buildings, we're responsible for the maintenance?
Like more specific details. And that's not just from like what my opening frame of what MOU was. It's like, okay, well, insurance, who pays for insurance?
Right.
The-
And who gets it? I mean,
Exactly,
who applies for it when it happens?
exactly, like what's.
And
is
that kind of stuff. That's what we would like to see in the MOU. Who's responsible for what? Does that make sense?
I kind of think that's separate from this. This is what he's wanting as, he's the auditor for our financial stuff.
Right.
And that's what he was wanting on this aspect. He wants the budget part of it figured out in an MOU. You guys are responsible for the payroll and the invoicing in this, as Michael pointed out in this, with the budget that you get. You guys are responsible for your invoicing, you guys are responsible for the payroll. Everything else, if we need to figure out that part, it's separate. That's my understanding on this in visiting with Paul. This just has to be figured out on the auditor's perspective for him, budget-wise.
So we take out fairgrounds facilities.
And it may be because of several years of turmoil. So I don't know that, but I can see where Paul, he shows up and he goes, what's it gonna be this time, you know? I don't know. And it appears you guys are doing what you need to be doing, so
Look, there are a couple things that I'm feeling here, Chairman, as I understand Paul's findings, and I obviously want to supply him with the proper documentation that he's asking for. But there's also other things that I look at and I'm thinking, okay, well, I want to most efficiently operate all entities of the county the best that I can. Some things I question when it comes down to the desire, or maybe the desire is not even there. The MOU says it is. If they're not wishing to operate independently, or it says commissioners agree with the arrangement, which I don't really feel, but what else needs to be agreed upon in the MOU to expose exactly the way that it is, and also pacify Paul with the audit side of it. I mean, that's all. And I agree, I think everything that has been operating at the fairgrounds pretty smoothly lately, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Everything, so I agree with that, but the desire
I understand that.
the desire, if there is one, and I'm just saying maybe there isn't one, but if there is a desire or a wish to operate independently, I kind of look at it like this too. If I've got a 16-year-old that is beginning to drive and I put them under my insurance and I said, okay, just so you know, you need to keep a clean record because anything that you do is probably going to affect us on the top end. I kind of look at it that way. And my 16-year-old says, well, I'll sign whatever, to get on your insurance and things. Well, ultimately, I know I'm responsible. I can't, run down to Ron Moody and say, he agreed. He's like, it don't work that way. So I really do want everything to flourish, including the fairground facilities. Although I don't know if the wording or this approach is the proper one. It's just from my own.
So here's my, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
here's my interesting thing. We just had our maintenance guy come in and tell us that we need something for the library. Is that his job too?
the fairgrounds, we've sent him out there.
So, I mean, are we gonna lean on that's what he does now, he is a maintenance guy?
I think if he's got the free time to do it, I don't see why it would be an issue. I mean, I don't have a problem with him going and looking at a building and getting a bid, if he's got the time or the availability to do it. I mean, he's probably not going to spend a lot of time other than making phone calls. And I thought we kind of had pretty good understanding on the building side of things, like if it's a major repair or, that's our place for you to not be spending your budget on major repairs. But
So we said a couple minutes ago about you guys are talking about the deal where, like, kind of do an MOU. It's like, what's considered a major repair? And then, like what I was talking about with my original understanding of what MOU was you need the doors, we need the, you take care of the broken, the actual toilet, we take care of the flush. To have something, and it can't be detailed too horrifically, but I'll have it down to where basically, I mean, my term's up in 4 years, you guys are up in shorter time. So the next board and the next, when you guys, it's in writing. We have the major repair definition is defined, so they know, everyone knows, okay, that's their job to put the bill for that. This is broken, we flip the bill for that. I guess that's what I was kind of looking to come into here.
Ultimately, Billy, it boils down, it's gonna boil down to a dollar amount. You're gonna have to decide, or we will have to decide together on what designates it as a major repair. It could be something small and piddly, but if this little tiny dinky thing costs $2,500 and it takes 5 minutes to put in, the price of it could push it into a major repair. So the dollar amount's gonna have to be agreed upon. Anything from this dollar down would be on the maintenance.
It's a misdemeanor or a felony.
Yeah, you're gonna have to draw that line somewhere, wherever that's at. Exactly.
I'd probably say somewhere around the $400 range per repair, because some things can get kind of extensive, but just little bits, pieces, pipes, whatever adds up. But like a full door, replacing a full door is obviously over 400. A full toilet, pretty close to that 400 range.
so if it's a hard asset to the building, you're probably talking about our problem, but a light bulb, if you toilet paper, I mean, consumable things.
Yeah. Consumables definitely fall under our responsibilities. Now, like, we've been dealing with water heater issues. We got one for 2 buildings that per season we swap out.
That's gonna be entertaining.
You're packing one water heater from one building to another
We have a
building.
snack shack in our office.
And it's almost
What's been going on for so many years now is that is a concerted effort to destroy that nationalism. That is to take away the ability of a country to operate independently from a global, construction. And so Trump's come along and if he, and I'm always worried about what he's actually doing. Yeah. Certainly appears like he's sincere, and he's he is in large measure disconnecting the United States from that global organism and allowing it to prosper, the way it, I mean, he's headed that direction. And I am, very, for the first time in years, optimistic about how this might turn out.
You're packing one water heater from one building to another
Between the
building.
snack shack and our office, that's it.
And it's only a 19 gallon one.
Just a little one.
Just a little one.
Yeah.
And, you can buy one for $500 at Menards. Another 19.
Can you get one for 4?
Well, I got last week for $359 or something like that. And I said, I was almost ready to buy it.
So, and I
I couldn't
understand
do that though.
what Becky was saying, like this kind of satisfies Paul's wishes to like do the auditing side of things, the billing side of things. But I guess I'm not, I'm kind of speaking to the board, but to have like one more line item on there that says on repairs and stuff, so future seat occupiers know what to expect.
Or having it just write up an agreement saying what you guys are responsible of and what we are. Not actually an MO, but just an agreement between the two boards saying that you guys are responsible for the major repairs on the buildings and for the smaller underneath.
To be blatantly honest with you, Francie, we're responsible for all of it.
Yeah.
So what the agreement would be is what amounts on the bottom end would we be laying in the responsibility of the fair board on that responsibility. But if you guys walked away and marched on, we're responsible for all of it anyway. So because of the property, but on the independent's desire, that's where that would be on the bottom side, or classifying it for, I guess, maintenance or something.
So there's the insurance question. We kind of, we did have a social meeting with the fair last night, and I was asking Cammie afterwards about insurance, and at one point, she remembers the fair board cutting checks with insurance annually, but I've never been
On the building?
I don't know what.
So they did, and
For the whole thing.
it was so redundant. I would calculate how much Mallow would pay, and the fairgrounds would pay, and the library would pay, and it would come out of their budget to turn around and write a check to the county. It was all under the same plan, and that was it was the dumbest thing I've ever seen, how the county was handling that. You guys were paying us under our plan for our buildings out of your budget that was budgeted by the county. So
It's just
it was, and it was
taken from here to there.
to the library, it was all of our buildings. It was crazy. So, yeah, we didn't do that in the last
So
4 years.
the only reason I'm hung up on the MOU is because that's what Paul asked for. If we don't want to do it, I don't really care. But that's what he asked for. And if we need to, kind of like Billy, you were talking about doing a dollar amount or whatever added to it, I'm okay with that. Or a better description added in here, not necessarily a dollar amount. And then that document can live for as long as the fair board wants to operate that way, and it's set in stone for the next person that walks in there. And there's not a question, it's right here on this piece of paper what you're, yeah.
And you can update your signatures
that's gonna be more member.
So, give me what a definition of a MOU is. What is there teeth? Is it binding? Is it, what is it? Is it a contract? Is it just a handshake? What is it?
There's really no consideration that I see, which means an exchange of money or services for a binding agreement. I don't think this just says you guys can operate independently and we can change it at any time. You know, see paragraph number 2.
Right.
But I don't think it's like a binding contract. What I see this more as is everybody's understanding of how it's going forward when and if you guys aren't sitting in those chairs and when and if those guys aren't sitting in their chairs. Or if there's some sort of agreement when you guys are still sitting in those chairs, you say, look, this is what we understand, this is how we're supposed to be operating this right now. And then the board has the ultimate authority to independently modify it. But since there's no consideration changing hands that I can see, I don't see it as like a binding contract. Just an understanding.
A handshake on paper, basically.
Yeah, handshake on paper, basically, yeah.
Did Paul specifically mention MOU? He did, okay, so really Paul knows what an MOU is because he was requesting that, so whatever it even stands, if it has no teeth or if it's just at least something, where you have nothing right now, that's probably the understanding is there isn't anything on paper.
Yeah.
And if he's requesting that, it can be changed at any time. I mean, there's the wording in there. I mean, there's a lot of things that mentions that it's not very solid. I mean, it's not the end of it. You lock this thing down and you can't reopen it.
Neither side can go into court and say,
right.
Force this.
And there's not going to be that. So maybe that was just a desperate attempt from Paul just to have something.
So Paul requested an MOU. Has he seen this?
Exactly, that would be the question I would ask too.
I don't know.
I'll discuss back with it.
He's the guy who's asking for it. I mean, that's
So- Great idea. Why don't we send it down to him and at the next meeting, if this is what he's looking for, then he can say, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for, or add X, Y, or Z. Because I'm about MOU'd to death right now.
Oh, come on, MOU.
I'm into keeping my auditor happy.
Right. Try to.
And
Maybe he could even call us.
yeah, maybe
Tell
it's
us
the
what
next meeting.
his basis is and what the understanding is why other entities don't do it for us.
I think his theory was in practicing those, most of the other counties that he deals
They
with,
do the other way.
they've gone the other way. So there's a direct, quote unquote, boss to a guy that does, when we say jump, he jumps however far. And up here, we're just kind of running it like cowboys.
I looked up that statute, that 189101, and it's the authority of Board of Commissioners to acquire property, appoint Board of Trustees, purposes and uses, authority to levy taxes, issue bonds or incur indebtedness, county fair fund. So that statute that in there is specific to the fair.
But it says May.
Huh?
Does it say May?
Yeah, when you go down the statute, it's May.
It's May.
Yeah, each Board of County Commissioners may.
Right, so on the library, it's shall. So that's the interesting thing here is that when you have a shall, you would think that when we divvy up a portion of our mill levy, that we would have a lot more oversight on that on a shall when you are going to have a library. But when you're not going to have a lot of fairgrounds, I mean, this is interesting to me.
Knock down fairground.
No. You might have quoted that somewhere.
Yeah, he yelled at him.
Well, I mean, you just said that other counties have gone to just the manager and not, and the fair board only went to,
Handling the fair.
handling the fair. Well, that's because there's a May in there.
But I'm not hung up on the May. What I'm hung up on is the issues of a board that, with another board, that there's been yes, no, this, that. What's the direction? I like the idea of some direction being an agreement, potentially that's black and white of a handshake. It doesn't have to be legal, but this is the direction of what we expect, and this is what you guys expect to be dealing with under the guidelines of that MOU. So,
Okay, if you want to have your cake and eat it too, it's up to you.
we're gonna send it to Paul. How about that?
Sounds good.
And I think ask him about the building, if you wanna send it. Ask him about the building, how we define, yeah. And if this isn't what he's wanting, then he can tell us what he wanted exactly. Cool. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for being
Thank
patient
you.
with us. And then Suzanne for the, are you doing the other thing? Yeah.
You got an update on that elevator dispute? Is he, Michael?
Oh, no, I don't have them.
So it was that 60-some thousand that he charged that it didn't get fixed correctly.
Yeah, no, I'll have to update you on that on the next one. I apologize.
How about vault side, got anything on them?
Yeah, they paid the $20,000, 20,400 something. We're good on that, right, Becky? And then we're operating the new agreement going forward from, was it April of 2025?
With just the 20%.
Yeah, and you were still looking into another service, right?
Yes, I still am.
And how is that going?
Pretty good. I need to figure out how to get him the old, scanned images from Bighorn to see if they can use those. And then we'll go from there. It's the original.
Tina had the CD.
Huh?
Tina had the CD
What CDs?
of all the originals.
I didn't know they were put on CDs.
We got a whole thing of CDs.
Oh, really?
Don't know where they are, but we got CDs.
Oh, Bighorn just put them on, hard drive.
I believe we got CDs. I believe we did.
I'll try to get hold of her and see them.
Was the 20,000 that we received, was that, because I remember talking about, this has been a little while ago, right? That was the amount.
That was, we took that in on April, the first meeting in April. So we got it at the end of March.
Problem is they're gonna think around. We have it in writing that they're gonna agree to they agreed to the old amounts till April of this year. But then my problem with these guys is they're gonna keep dinking around like they have been for the last 2 years now.
Yeah, because they will still owe us at the old amount on certain things, because they only paid, that was only the payment up until December,
Yeah.
so they still owe us money.
So they'll keep dinking around, and we're gonna be doing this until we just find something better to do with our lives.
I agree.
Because how long have we been doing this with these guys?
Every time.
Long enough.
When I see the vault side update come up on the agenda, it's about like my wife saying, "The dog left you a little treat in the hallway. You want to clean that up?" that's how I feel. I get the same vibe. I'm like, oh, I'm glad that
I'm never-
something has come through as of the December thing, but I just feel like
Like
this
literally?
begging, whatever you want to give us, fault side, okay, I have no idea what they're even basing the numbers off of. Maybe they owed us 40, maybe not, I don't know. And it's not good.
All right.
New business.
So I scanned this contract from Powder River to you guys. This was definitely unexpected. I sent it to you. Did you look at it?
When did you send it to me?
Quite a while ago.
It's huge. It's this many pages.
I sent it to you 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
It's a
Oh.
commercial application for membership and electric service agreement. It is for $18,727. It's for power to the new hangars at the airport. It's a contract between Powder River, Weston County, and the city of Newcastle.
So is it not covered under the grant?
Well, I would
It
hope
should
so.
have been, but it's not. Because they want this to be signed and a check sent to them.
That's interesting. What, you don't remember what day you said a couple weeks?
I sent this to you guys the same day I sent,
Yes.
so everything I sent was on Thursday. I sent
that
it to you weeks ago, but our emails don't work.
I don't remember seeing that. Because we got that other issue on that other.
Oh yeah, we have email issues all the time, but I sent it.
Maybe that's something you need to take to the airport board.
No, it's almost worth, can we just make a quick phone call to Tim? He's the engineer.
Because that feels like it should have been in the grant. Because
Yeah.
it's not a taxpayer responsibility. Hey, how did that work?
Tim, it's Garrett. How are ya?
Doing good.
Good. I got you on speaker. We're at a commissioner meeting. Just wanted to ask you a question here. What had come across the desk was a contract from Powder River Energy for the hangars out at Mondale. Was that $18,727? Is that not covered under the grant?
Powder River Energy. So they sent it directly to the county? Or?
They sent this directly to the county, I believe. We received it.
Okay. It should be covered under the grant. If you could forward that to me,
Yep.
Jared.
Be happy to.
And we will get it in because we do have a payout coming at you guys here soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll just forward
Great
it.
news.
Great news. That was.
Yeah.
I ate the whole inside of my cheek wondering about that. Thank you.
Where'd Becky go?
Well, it's a contract for power.
Garrett just called the engineer and he said it should be on the grant, so forward that to
When
me.
you send that to Tim Webb, I've got his email.
I have Tim's.
You do have Tim's?
Yep.
If you could forward that to him.
Oh,
It wasn't supposed to come directly to us.
okay. Lovely.
Okay.
Prepay.
Okay, so this, I cannot say anything other than it's a prepaid to Wyoming Department of Workforce Services in the amount of $331.18 for an unemployment claim, and it possibly could be, they're gonna try to fight it next Monday.
Yes.
So we could not have this claim. If we do have this claim, though, I have to have it to them before the 30th of the month. So I need approval for this prepaid
So we're having
contingent on Monday.
I've helped with this particular claim, and
Right.
we got it in front of an appeals board or whatever they call it down there. We're having a hearing on it next week, and if they decide otherwise, then that will not be an issue. But I don't know how they're going to decide.
Right. Because it fell within a quarter where it was under us, we're responsible for this dollar amount.
Is it fees? Is it a payment? Is it?
Payment.
And we become responsible, because we had this conversation yesterday about unemployment, if you'll recall. And we are ending up paying one. So how did it fall under us? And then if we lose this, do we pay?
Yeah, so out of the county, we figured that out. I was thinking, I've mostly, up to this point, just dealt with unemployment in private entities. So you guys don't pay a monthly premium.
No.
So,
That's what I thought.
yeah, you were right, because under governmental entities, it's,
We only report the number of employees
Yeah.
that we have, and that is what goes to unemployment. We do not pay a fee, we just report a number. Private businesses, private entities pay a dollar amount. So because this particular one was under our privy in a quarter, we could possibly pay, like if this happened to go get another job somewhere else, quit, lose their job within like 2 years, we're on the hook for the next 2 years.
And that's what I was trying to explain about what happened with our former administrator. We paid for 55 months.
Are we gonna lose Michael?
Is there a comment in there?
Question mark?
I don't know I know they're very employee friendly down there, so I'll just tell you that.
Which is sad. In case
But you just you just never know, because it's just an independent hearing examiner. You don't know anything about him.
oh
I just don't know.
Is it ever contingent on the reason for termination or
Yeah.
such? Is it?
That's the.
Or do they?
We can't give any details. That's the
know.
angle we're going is misconduct connected with work, and I think there's a better case than usually you have. So. Yeah.
Would entertain a motion.
Move to pay it. What's the warrant number?
I don't have one yet, I just have a dollar amount.
331.
On the basis of
18.
losing.
Well,
Or,
I think you should. If you can you prepay it at the next meeting?
No,
It's already has
because
to.
I'll have it ready,
Okay.
contingent on Monday, and then it'll go out, or it will just be voted.
Okay. That's right.
Second.
You want an amount tied to it, just so it's
sure,
331.18.
Correct.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to approve payment on this voucher for 331.18. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Is there any public comment?
I need a nap.
No, I was
You want a chip?
a long day.
What chip?
Walter needs a nap.
Marty, would you care to start if you've got something you want?
I got a couple things that I'd just like us maybe to think about to put on our agenda at some point. Perhaps discuss and review the contract with search and rescue on the open class building, or the youth fair building, I mean. The survey on Old Highway 85 and the easements. And then I would like us to set the budget meetings ASAP. It's gonna sneak up on us. Month's gonna be over.
It would be okay after the next meeting, if it's not over at 4. to sit down for a little while afterwards. I just have a workshop and look at some of it. I
Mr.
can't this next Tuesday.
I've had another commissioner say that they won't be able to do other days, if we could do them after the meetings, if they're not too long. Like in the afternoons. I can try to do that, like meetings in the morning, budget meetings in the afternoon,
And when we get closer to it,
have longer.
or add one whenever. I gotta drive down there for a meeting.
I think with what's going on, Mr. Chairman, I think we need to have line by line discussions.
I won't have figures from Kara or Susie.
That's okay, a budget is a budget. We don't have to necessarily worry, when those numbers get put in, we can deal with those, but a budget from we can ask questions of a department.
I think we can start with what we had for this year and see if there's room anywhere to move or whatever, and if not, figure it out.
Yeah, we don't need those other numbers.
Hold our breath if the state valuation comes in good and we're okay.
Pretty much already been mentioned earlier, but just for the record, the two roads that I got made aware of the condition of was Greaves Road, and I was contacted by Shane Sweet, and also on Morrissey, at least the first few miles, there's quite a bit of traffic on the front side there, so Dan Patton had contacted me on those, and I went and looked at the Morrissey Road one and talked with Dan. Thanked him also because he's got his on it. He's got his eyes on it almost daily. So same way with Shane on kind of giving us today's condition of the road. I thank him for that.
Thank you. I think we got a number of them in the county, and that might be some county road fund monies we need to talk about at the budget cycle here.
I did ask Jimmy to come up with a plan. So.
Earlier, you weren't here, Michael, but I confess my sins of singling out entity on accident to a news organization about looking for where we might be able to cut where it's not statutorily required. That was a mistake on my part. I should have included all instead of just thinking of two off the top of my head. So.
Well, I appreciate that. I just had some very upset folks, so and then that got me all riled up. So
yeah, I get it. They gave me an earful. So other than that, it was actually a good conversation to have with them. So I was there for 2 hours with the young old ladies talking. So other than that, I guess.
And Mr. Chairman, that's why I think every department deserves that.
Mm-hmm. This will be a great opportunity for every department to come to us and do a good explanation of where the money's going, so that we have an understanding of because I don't know what all Michael's office is dealing with, nor do I know what all these folks are dealing with out at the fairgrounds or anywhere else. So,
well, and the reverse of that is, or the flip side of that coin is they also don't know where we're going to.
Yeah. Anyhow, I appreciate all the departments. Meeting adjourned.
Okay.
Back in session at 4:01. Contract, Wyoming Department of Health, Public Health. Division. This is the $91,000 contract for the Amendment 1 to the grant agreement between Wyoming Department of Health, Public Health Division and Weston County. Yes, sir.
So with the clarification from Angie, was that, it sounded to me like that 10% was, she was talking about travel and things like that. That is the 10% that this is pertaining to, not B. Is that how I got that from Angie?
My understanding is they make up for the 10%, like in what they do as far as work-wise. It's not something that the county picks up, nor will they come back and ask for the county to pick that up.
At least the way it's always worked in the past.
And we've got proof from our clerk that we've never had to pay anything.
Well, and she also said that she records it. Yes.
And I think also what she said was kind of my thought on what was happening here was it's just more regulation, basically on the requirements of the parties involved, not necessarily our responsibility, but all on what the gals have to be trained for and whatnot.
Upon approving this, could we still ask for a little clarification on paragraph 4 on that?
Is that the 10%?
Yeah. That would help, that would be helpful. I mean, I don't want to slow anything down, but I don't want it, I guess we're not entering into anything we haven't already, but not to say that that's a good guidance either.
Like what they show as their 10% match, ask them to
Right.
also show you what
What
they're
is
showing the state.
specifically, what is the 10%? You know, what's a list of the 10% would be helpful.
Okay.
Well, and like I asked her, a little more communication on the forefront would be appreciated too.
Entertain a motion to approve the chairman's signature on Wyoming Department of Health, Public Health Division.
So moved.
Second.
We properly moved in second. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the chairman's signature on this contract, 247-161. Yep, Amendment 1 to the grant agreement between Wyoming Department of Health, Public Health Division and Weston County. Please say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. No? Please say, or
I'm a no.
you're a no. Okay. Thank you. Those against, say no. Okay.
However you want to word it out.
Got it.
It's a big one in these.
Okay. So you ready for me to sign this?
Mhm.
Yeah, a little clarification on that one paragraph would be helpful, because it looks, you could almost read it like the 9100 is what we're responsible for.
So did we miss you taking out any posts or anything, trees or anything when you drove back up? No, sorry.
So, horse heads.
Oh no, I didn't see any horse head posts to run over, they were all gone. I just came right across the yard.
Oh, good for you.
All right, thanks for
Thank
that,
you for
Garrett.
doing that.
Walter, sorry for that.